Welcome to episode 127 of the Inside Byte. I'm your host, Tim Schaefer. I'm here with my co-host, Rudy. How you doing this week?
Hey man, I'm good. Like I'll say, I've had so much time to play games this week, actually, which is really nice. Um, so especially my Switch, which, as we've discussed many times, is just a great place to play games. So yeah, definitely have a lot to say on that. How about you?
Cool. Yeah, it's been good. I don't know. It's holiday season, so it's just being at home more than the usual for me.
Of
And
course.
yeah, I get into it, but I've been playing something I definitely wasn't expecting to fall way into this rabbit hole with. But
Okay.
I'm really enjoying it. So, but
Of
I'm still working through the usual as well, like Alan Wake 2.
course.
Probably got like 6 more hours into that. I don't know how I'm still playing that and still feel like I have no idea if I'm like halfway through three fourths what.
Right.
Have no
Right.
clue, but I still keep like work my way through that. But we'll get into all that.
Okay.
Game Awards happen, and pretty
Yep.
much this entire show is just going to be going over different Game Award things from the
Yeah.
announcements to the winners. And there was so many announcements that the really anything that's happened this week outside of Game Awards is, in my opinion, not really worth mentioning because there's so
Nah.
much news from that alone that could fill
Right.
an entire episode. So that's what
Oh
we're
yeah.
gonna do. So,
All right. Sounds good. Let's do it.
um, in general, though, with the show, um, I don't know where are you 1 to 10. Where are you putting this? Or I guess a grade level. I'm gonna throw B minus.
Yeah. So interestingly enough, the way that this day worked out is I was all pumped to watch it. Right. Then last minute, I had to go out to help my mom with something. Then when I did that, I ran into a friend of mine. Then we started talking, and I was just out for hours. I was like, "Oh shoot, I'm missing the game." I was like so mad about it, but I was like, you know what? I'll try to just catch the highlights. But yes, I'm upset that I didn't actually watch it like I usually do every year. Um, so that being said, there were so many trailers to watch. So I just tried to, jump around a bit, see things that I thought was interested in. So from what I saw, it seems like it wasn't like a ton of crazy announcements, or even as many crazy announcements as normal, from what I gathered. But there were a few that I was like, oh, it's pretty good. So I don't know, maybe like a B minus or something if I had to guess.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I watched it live and yeah, nothing really like, oh
Didn't
my
seem that
god, that's
crazy.
amazing, right? There was like two or three like really good announcements, and then the rest is just kind of like whatever. But I it sounded like I should rate it a lot lower than because of that. But the pacing felt really good to me. Now, there's a big comment on that of one huge ding against the show is so many times when anybody is trying to accept an award, one,
Oh
they
yeah.
do that usual really weird bit to where it's like they'll go through like two or three and they'll be like, in this, here are the
Oh
nominees, here's the
yeah.
winner, and then
Real
jump to
quick.
the
Yep.
next, right? But then there's other ones where they actually allow somebody to come on stage and accept their award, and it doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason to like, why is this one just being mentioned and completely overshadowed by the next two or three we're just going to announce real fast, and while others get to actually go on a stage and get to talk. um, Either let everybody talk or nobody or something like that, because then you're
Right.
just
Right.
having this higher importance sort certain individuals or something, and it just comes off weird. So that aside, that big problem, the pacing was, I thought, totally fine compared to other shows to where, I don't know, we would just get way too many weird mobile game ads or stuff like that, where this seemed like a much better cadence of like, um, filling it in with, I don't know, just a good flow to it. I don't know how else to word it. Of just like nothing too terrible showing outside of obvious breaks of like, okay, we're taking a break here for a few minutes and just showing some commercials, and then those are going to be whatever. But there wasn't any weird super basic mobile game ad, and then the very next
Right.
thing shown is something like world premiere of something insane, and then right after that another weird ad or something like that. It seemed to be a lot more put together show, in my opinion, outside of those really rushed. Even when somebody's trying to talk, it's about they get about 20 seconds and then they start cueing the music, and it becomes really awkward for the person on stage because they definitely are still trying to say what they were trying to say anyway, even if they are now in a rush. And then music is overplaying. You can tell their anxiety's hitting them hard, and they don't really know what to do. And then it's just super awkward. Um, I don't know. You got to give them at least. I understand if it's like getting close up to a minute, play the music, but they're playing music 15 seconds in. They've maybe only said a handful of words and they're already
Oh
getting
yeah.
shoved off stage. And then that awkwardness just kept happening. So I don't know. It's that's where I'm sticking B minus of like those need to be tightened up. But I wasn't complete like last year and the year before, it seemed to go on for like 4 hours and I was bored the entire time. Outside of like, oh, that's
That's
a
true.
cool announcement, and then back to just being incredibly bored. This didn't feel boring the majority of the show. It's definitely kept up its excitement all the way through for me. So
Okay,
that's
good.
where it's not like a C minus D kind of level, because otherwise it would be on just like there wasn't anything too majorly shown. Um, Now it's all subjective. We'll get into it. My favorite announcement, I guess, if I were to put one, I'll throw two. I think like the biggest announcement of the show, just pure being objective here, is just Monster Hunter Wilds. I feel right. It's just a
Yep.
brand new Monster Hunter game.
Yep.
Monster Hunter World was the biggest game for Capcom to date, I want to say, in terms of just sales and how much revenue and all of that. And then so I feel that's just a great announcement to have. And then, if you're not into Monster Hunter, it's not going to do anything for you. But I feel that's just big by default. And then for me personally, mine is I made a post on it, but a new Secret of Mana game, but it's not
Let's
Secret of
see
Mana,
that.
but an announcement in the Mana series, Visions of Mana. And I mean, I think the art direction looks phenomenal. I mean, we haven't gotten a new Mana game since like PS1. There was a DS game that was trying to do like a multiplayer approach to it, where it's like super focused on multiplayer, which there's multiplayer in some of the Mana games, but it still was this like single player adventure in the way that it felt. A second player could just pick up a controller and play along with you. But so you're talking single player focus PS1 days of like Legend of Mana. So it's been ages of like really being like, I guess I just sort of figured the series was dead and they just were never going to do anything with it, but they finally are. We had that Trials of Mana back in 2019, 2020
Yes, I
that
remember
I
that.
super loved, but it was a remake of um, the Super Nintendo release that we never got here in the States, the Secret of Mana 2, for lack of a better term. Seiken Densetsu 3, I think is how you say it. Anyway,
Hmm.
so we got that remake, but again, that's still a remake and not an original title. So when I saw this Visions of Mana, I was expecting it to be like maybe it's a fancy title, but it's a remake of Secret of Mana or something like that, because you had a lot of the same running themes and a lot of things looking very similar. But after seeing more information on the game of like its press release and stuff, this is a brand new entry. So I'm super excited on that front. I think
Yep.
it looks amazing. And Trials of Mana definitely played very different. Even though it was a remake, it is not its combat was recreated from the ground up, and it's a completely new combat system. And this game seems to be taking from that new combat system and making a full fledged game around it, more than just having a new combat system. Otherwise, it'd be in the same game. So
Sure.
I'm stoked. So those two things are my big, like, me personally with Visions of Mana, and then me just trying to be like, hey, what's probably the biggest that was happen, and that being that Monster Hunter. What was it called again?
Wilds or something like that.
Yes, Wilds, Monster Hunter Wilds, which, judging by the title, they're trying to make a more like open world and having like tons of monsters instead of, in Monster Hunter you'll have like the main bad guy and there's a few things you can kill. But with this game they're
Mm-hmm.
really trying to emphasize, oh, there is going to be dozens of monsters like running in hordes that you may have to slay or work around or whatever, and it'd be a lot more open and much less of just going from one area to the next and there being like
Sure.
maybe 7 areas per map. This looks to be like maybe you do go to different maps, but it's just one large map and then you may move to the next instead of being segmented off into some things. So um
Yeah.
it's pretty exciting there. But uh I mean, of what you've seen,
Right.
um, is there anything that you'd want to shout out of like biggest announcement?
Yeah. So listen, first of all, I know that Monster Hunter is huge. I know people go crazy over it. For me personally, I was a bit disappointed that that was like the big final reveal.
Yeah.
That's totally a me thing. I just was like, but not 100%. I feel like there's other games that even if I wasn't into them, I'd still be like, oh, that was a great reveal. But for some reason, that one just didn't. Remember the year they did the Fast and the Furious game
Yeah.
at the end?
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
a bad one. Anyway, so there was a few. I'm looking through the announcements now so I can remind myself. There was a few things I saw that caught my attention, like this new, the people who made Thumper, the new game they got.
Oh
I was
yeah,
like, that
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
looks cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked kind of interesting. Let me see. The Brothers Tale of Two Sons remake. I was excited about that. Love that game, so that's definitely a cool thing. It looks great too. What was the RPG by the BioWare people, the ex-BioWare people,
Oh,
with Matthew McConaughey?
Exodus.
That was it. I was like, okay, that could be interesting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, those are probably the ones that I'd say most caught my attention.
Okay.
But yeah, overall, nothing too crazy. I saw the Hellblade 2 trailer, but I'm like, 2024. That doesn't really do much for me at this point because we've been waiting forever for that game. So.
And we keep seeing a bunch of that game, but never like actually sitting there and showcasing exactly how it plays. It's like always just really fast cuts, and you don't really get a sense of its like true gameplay. And
Yep.
so I'm still waiting on that to happen. So.
Yep, agreed.
All right, well, we're going to go through all the announcements here in order of them coming out. Now, there was definitely more announcement than this, but these are all of even semi-big because there's going to be random, just complete, like, what the hell mobile game or something like that. And we're not going to go that far into every announcement, but
of course,
somewhat big to grand, let's say. So the first being that you pointed out here, Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons remake. Now, I love the original game. It's 2 or 3 hours long. It was the first game created by that Joseph guy that later made It Takes Two and all of that.
It Takes Two, and what was the other one? A Way Out too.
Yeah, the prison one. And I mean, this remake, I don't think it's like looking super hot or anything. I think it looks kind of weird, and it's like this isn't much of a remake here. It still looks a little weird and rough, and maybe it's just a good ways out before it actually comes out. Maybe that's why it looks rough. But in this, to me, like if you're gonna remake a game that honestly doesn't need to even be remade, I don't know, do a bigger jump than this. This almost, I don't know. Doesn't
that's the visuals that's totally look fair. Weird. Yeah, I didn't look at it and be like, oh my god, it looks so much better, right? But I guess I just remember loving the game so much, and it's been so long that I was like, I kind of hadn't even considered what the original one even looked like. It's been so long. But yeah, I get what you're saying though. It doesn't, I don't know. It could do more, but who knows? Maybe they will by the time it drops.
Yeah. So, Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons is coming to modern consoles over a decade after its original release. The game, which launched in August of 2013, saw players control two brothers at the same time with one controller as they travel to save their father from illness with water from a life-giving tree. So, if anyone who hasn't played it, the whole gimmick is left joystick, left trigger, right, and then right thumbstick,
Mm-hmm.
right trigger for the other character, and you
Yep.
controlling both of them at the same time. And really fun, clever puzzle ways of controlling two characters to get something accomplished and seeing them both on the same screen, kind of thing. And I really enjoyed it. I did. I think it's a good game.
Yeah, yeah, same here. I liked it, so we shall see. All right, next up, Pony Island 2, Panda Circus. Pony Island 2, Panda Circus 2 is the next game from Inscription creator Daniel Mullins, and it features first-person open-world gameplay mixed with a 2D within a game that mixes multiple formats from old school pixel gameplay. The game is slated for release in 2025. Interesting. I haven't played Inscription yet. I've always heard great things about it, so maybe it'll be a good game. I don't know. I can't really say much about it.
Yeah, I never played it either. To me, it looks like, oh, it's mixing a 3D platformer with a game like Undertale or something and going between those two things. Um, Looks really unique. I'll give it that at least.
Right, it does. I
And
agree with
then
that.
the rise of the Golden Idol. Color Gray has announced the rise of the Golden Isle, a follow up to the case of the Golden Isle. A brief teaser showed multiple mugshots connected by string on a corkboard before the cursed idol appeared on screen. The Rise of the Golden Idol is coming to Netflix games, Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo Switch, and PC.
All right. I that was one that I looked up because I was like, oh, this sounds interesting. Um, yeah, I mean, it didn't really tell me that much, to be
Yeah,
honest, but
yeah. It's
it's
not too
what it
much
is.
to go off here, but
No, not at all. All right. Oh, whoa, my computer. Hold on, my mouse just flew up. Let me go back down. Okay, there we go. All right, next one, Usual June. Um, Usual June is the next game from Finji, the studio behind Night in the Woods and Tunic. Good games. The debut trailer showed the titular June, who's being followed by mysterious ghosts. The game will launch in 2025. Tim, hold on. My kids are
yeah.
acting up. Let me go handle it real quick.
Okay.
By the way, I didn't realize that Night in the Woods and Tunic was made by the same developer.
I didn't either. So
Wow. Okay. I'll
good
with that. I'm intrigued by the fact that that game was made by the people who made Night in the Woods and Tunic, especially Tunic. Night in the Woods I thought was a decent game, but Tunic I thought was really good. So
yeah, they're both very different though, which
oh
is
yeah,
why
way
I'm
different.
surprised
I'm
that
surprised. Yeah.
yeah. And this looks very different from those. This is looking very.
Uh-huh.
How do I want to put this? You know that game that came to PS5 near launch.
Um, hold on.
Kena Bridge of Spirits. Yeah,
Oh yes, it does.
yeah.
Yep.
That's just giving me vibes of. Now this next Harmonium, the musical. This is a musical adventure made from The Odd Gentleman, made to be accessible to the deaf, and the deaf, accessible to the deaf, as the game is fully subtitled and everyone in the game speaks in sign language along with the singing. The game is coming to Xbox Game Pass and Netflix games. Um,
Okay.
Windblown is the latest for Motion Twin, creators of Dead Cells. The animated teaser trailer did not show any gameplay, but it did introduce us to the characters, the world, and a foreboding cyclone. Windblown will hit early access on PC in 2024.
All right.
Neither one of those really do much for me. Moving on.
Yeah, same here. I mean, it is what it is. Next one, Thrasher. Thrasher is a mind-melting cosmic racer, an essential audio-visual experience from Drool, the studio behind the 2016 cult hit Thumper. The debut trailer shown during the Game Awards showed off some of the game's psychedelic gameplay and revealed the 2024 release window. It's cool.
Yep.
Ooh, I must have missed this one. Dredge cross Dave the Diver, I guess together. Two unexpected hits from the past year. Dave the Diver and Dredge are coming together as creatures and characters from the horror fishing game are coming to Dave the Diver on December 15th. That's cool. Cool idea.
And then Exodus, the game you were mentioning earlier, is a new sci-fi RPG from Architect Entertainment, a new studio made up of former BioWare developers and a subsidiary of Wizards of the Coast. The debut trailer introduces the main character, known as the Traveler, and introduces the game's time dilation mechanics, which will feature in both gameplay and storytelling. Honestly, this looks like that Housemarque game, Returnal.
Oh, Returnal.
And I want to say this is a roguelike, just like that was. So,
Interesting. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Shall
Um,
see.
we got God of War Ragnarok, Valhalla. Sony announced free downloadable content for God of War Ragnarok, which is Valhalla, which is a free roguelike mode where Kratos travels with Mimir to a mysterious island filled with monsters. The new mode will be available next week, December 12th.
Is this enough to pull you back in? Because I don't think I'm
No.
gonna be playing this. Yeah.
Um,
Whatever. Love the game, but I'm good.
I don't know, but I never really play DLC for games, so
Yeah, I usually do, but not. I usually play story DLC or something like that. Not really too interested in this. But hey, if you get the game, now, then I think that'd be something I'd probably check out. So
yeah, it adds
all right,
value. It's cool.
right. All right. Then we have Big Walk. Big Walk is a cooperative multiplayer adventure about teamwork and talking, where players will band together to solve puzzles and make new discoveries. It's being developed by House, who previously released Untitled Goose Game, and it's scheduled to launch in 2025. I
Now,
don't have much
this
to say about
game
this,
is the
but go ahead.
first game, though. When I'm watching the awards, this was the first
Hmm.
one that actually like excited me and was like, "Oh, this
Right.
looks really, really cool." You should watch this trailer if you
Yeah,
haven't.
I have not watched it yet, so
Okay,
I'll have to take a look.
I think this looks incredibly interesting and one of
Okay.
the more unique things. This would be a huge shout out for me of like
Very
a
cool. All right.
big showcase title for the Game Awards.
Okay, that's
So
cool. All right.
yeah.
Did not know. I'll have to check it out then. Did you ever play Untitled Goose Game, by the way?
No, now this.
Never
I mean,
played it.
well, I did. I played like an hour or two. I'm like, okay, I get it. You just walk around as a goose and you just sort of do these little like side quests of whatever needs to be done. Of like maybe messing with somebody or taking an object to somebody. Whatever. It's funny. It's cute. This looks not even close to remotely the same thing. I mean, I guess you can tell that it's the same devs because it's very, very weird and funny and all of that, but this is a 3D game and completely different perspective. A lot of really, it kind of looks and plays like a a really wacky PS1 3D platformer kind of vibe here.
Gotcha.
But
Okay.
I
Okay, I like
was
that. All right.
I loved it. I was impressed. So.
I'm gonna watch the trailer for sure. All right. And then next after that, as we quickly discussed, Hellblade 2, Senua's Saga. Following a performance of an original song for the game by Heilong, I don't know, a new trailer for Hellblade 2 showed more of Ninja Theory's next project. We got to see multiple locations, enemies, and more from the upcoming adventure, which is scheduled for release in 2024. Again, I have more excitement. Forget the game and what I like more. I have more excitement for GTA saying coming in 2025 than I do for this, only because that's the first time it was revealed, and now it's coming in a year and change, right? This I've been seeing for so damn long now that I'm just like, I don't care anymore until it comes out. I'm
Now, I
just
do
over
think it
seeing it.
looks impressive. I
It
do.
looks
It
great.
actually
Yeah.
looks very great. But
Oh yeah.
again, I want to see just a segment of actual gameplay at this point.
Right.
So,
Agreed. So
okay.
when I see that, I'll be a little more excited, I think.
No Rest for the Wicked is the next game from Moon Studios, who are the creators of the Ori franchise. This action RPG takes a darker tone than Moon's previous projects as it follows a kingdom whose king has recently died, which plunges the world into chaos. The game will offer single player and 4-player online co op modes, and more information will be shared during the Wicked Inside digital showcase on March 1st. I thought this looked great. Big shout out
Yeah.
to this. So, if
Yeah.
you
I,
haven't seen
I
the
was
trailer,
surprised.
have you seen this? Did you see the trailer to
Yeah.
this?
I
Okay.
have seen this one, and I was just surprised. Like, it seems so different from what I expected them to make.
Yep.
So
In a super good way. I think it looks really
yeah.
great.
Yep.
So, I'm super into it. I mean, I love that they're doing something new. I wouldn't
Yeah,
expect that.
definitely. It's very easy to be like, oh, I wish they made Ori 3, which I would have loved, but it is cool for them to try something new. So
I mean, Ori looked beautiful, right? But it was like it's one of those showcase titles. I feel when you get like a
mhm,
4K TV and just the
sure.
way the art style is, but it's still 2D. And I'm not saying it's easy, but for this game to be a full 3D RPG title and it to still
No, it's
have a
really
super
impressive.
strong art direction to it is really impressive to me. The fact that they were able to leap into such
Hmm.
a 3D RPG space and it still look like, oh, but you can still tell it's the same um, developers and just how much they're taking its art direction in cool
Right.
and interesting ways. So
No, I'm
I'm
excited, man.
really
I think it looks
into
good.
this. This looks great to me. Yeah.
Agreed. Agreed. I think it looks very good, and if those guys have already proven themselves that they clearly have some talents there. So
This is this Xbox exclusive? Is Moon Studios like still an
um
Xbox thing? Like,
I actually
I
don't
want to
know.
see that. No,
That No Rest for the Wicked, by the way, March 1st, I think I saw at the end of that. Is that
yeah,
right?
it is March 1st.
Okay.
No. March 1st is whenever they're talking on the game more and showing like an in-depth thing about the game on March
Oh, gotcha.
1st.
So it's not coming out that day.
Yeah, we don't know when it's coming out. Now, I'm just going to skip ahead to the very end of this trailer and see if
Hmm.
we get any platforms. Okay, it was PlayStation, Xbox, PC.
Okay.
Okay. No Switch,
Gotcha.
but I would expect that only because this looks very advanced in its visuals.
All right. Very cool.
Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, a new Dragon Ball game in the Budokai Tenkaichi style of arena combat, was shown for the first time. Called Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, the brief trailer shows Goku, Vegeta, Frieza, and more of Dragon Ball's well-known characters battling it out. The game is coming to Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 5, and PC. So current gen only. Now, I just wish the title was called Budokai Tenkaichi and then maybe
Hmm.
Sparkling Zero after that or something.
Yep.
I think it
Yep.
really takes the wind out of the sails of like, oh, we're finally getting another Budokai game or a Tenkaichi game, but we're dropping
Right.
both of those names and just calling it Sparkling Zero. Now, apparently, Sparking was a thing that what this was titled in Japan all along, the Budokai games, I want to say. But I don't care. Budokai or Tenkaichi just sounds way better to me than Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. And that title alone, for some weird reason, just takes so much of the wind out of the sails of me caring about this. But maybe I can just get over that. And because I really did enjoy those titles way back in the day in PS2 and Wii days. So um, I don't know. I mean, this I'm interested just because I'm a Dragon Ball fanatic. But yeah,
Yep. Yep. No, I'll probably end up checking it out at some point, but I agree with what you're saying. I really do have a lot of nostalgia for those older ones. All right, next up, the casting of Frank Stone, a joint venture between horror houses Behavior Interactive and Supermassive Games. The casting of Frank Stone is a narrative horror game set in the wider universe of Dead by Daylight's Dead by Daylight, Behavior's asymmetrical multiplayer horror game. This debut trailer showed off some of the choices players will make throughout the story, and it also confirmed the 2024 release window for Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. Interesting. What'd you think about this one?
I mean, it looks a lot like their first game. What was it
Yeah.
called back on PS4?
Oh, Until Dawn?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you on that one.
which is still their best game to date, right?
I would say so. I think the Quarry was close, but I still think Until Dawn is the best one.
Yeah. So
Doesn't see when it comes out. Yeah.
I don't know. I
Okay.
never really get excited about anything that they're doing because I always just think it always kind of like it looks okay. It never looks too
Hmm.
great to me.
Right. Right. Um, I'm gonna play it for sure when it drops, but yeah, I'm not like going crazy over it or anything. Yeah. Anyway, I'll let you take this one because I know you're excited about it.
Yeah, Visions of Mana. Square Enix is bringing back its story Mana RPG franchise with Visions of Mana, an all new entry which is due for release in 2024. The debut trailer showed off many of the game's characters, locations, and a few enemies, including fan favorite Rabbids. Visions of Mana is coming to PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. Now, I've been noticing this trend lately, which I'm totally think is fine because an Xbox Series S costs $300, but I've been noticing like PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, but they won't do Xbox Series X and S and Xbox One. They'll go to back to PS4, but they won't go back to Xbox One. But honestly, I think it makes sense because Xbox One, I mean, you're already struggling to release it in PS4. I can understand how much of a bigger struggle to also then try to do Xbox One.
Sure.
Um, so I get it. Anyway, I just thought I'd mention it because there's a few games that have been doing that lately. I want to say Resident Evil 4 remake, for example, was like PS4, but I don't think Xbox One. Stuff like that. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
but yes, this looks great. I mean, I love its art direction because what it really reminds me of, which so Sword of Mana was a GBA game of a remake of the original, which was called Final Fantasy Adventure back on like Game Boy days. And in Japan, that it was released under the Mana name.
Sure.
But they released a Sword of Mana, which was a remake of that original title. And I was obsessed with it because I loved its art direction. And when I see this Visions of Mana, it feels like they definitely took a bunch. I'm assuming it's just the same artist because a lot of the same clothing and hair and aesthetics and all that are getting pulled from that like GBA Sword of Mana experience, which Trials of Mana did as well. A lot of the same characteristics and styles and I think it's really neat because it's a lot more colorful and vibrant and a lot good attention to detail in its clothing than I guess other Square Enix RPGs. For some reason, it seems to stick out a lot more with this, and I thought it was on full display with this new trailer, and I'm just super stoked to be in a very so many RPGs are just somber and depressing and grays
Sure.
and browns and darkness and all of that. And man has a very different approach to all that. And I
Yep.
appreciate it a lot. So
Fair enough. Yep. No, it looks cool. I'm definitely keeping an eye on that one. All right. Next up, we had this OD, which was a collaboration between Kojima and Jordan Peele on X. Excuse me. It was an Xbox was finally revealed in a bizarre trailer with multiple people reciting the same speech in different ways. Yeah, it was just a quick little trailer. I did see some people calling this out as Jeff Keighley having a little bias for his friendship with Kojima. How they give him like 10 minutes talking about this quick little thing, and then meanwhile, like I don't know, Baldur's Gate, they get like 5 seconds or something. So
yeah,
I
yeah,
thought
yeah.
that was kind of interesting. But hey, whatever this is, I'm sure it'll be cool whenever we see it. So yeah, I'm interested. Definitely interested in the two people running it. That's for sure. So
Yeah, I'm gonna be the last person to be doubting Kojima at this point.
oh yeah,
I'm
yeah, no,
obviously obsessed, so I'm really, really into this. This is huge in some different manners than the usual one. This is Xbox exclusive here. This is the Xbox game that he's been working on behind the scenes, and it's the one with Jordan Peele. So that has a lot of interest in that, just because it's so different than what I was expecting. And Death Stranding, we had no idea what that game was when they were first showing it off. And the same can be said about this, but I think it was always still pitched as like more of a video game though, even though they were doing a lot of fresh ideas. This
mm-hmm.
keeps they keep saying like experience, and I'm very curious if it's even going to be a game. Now, I think they mentioned that on stage of like even though it's very unique and different and weird, it's still a game, haha, and they laugh or whatever. But it makes me feel like I feel this is going to be even far less of a game than even what Death
Yeah,
Stranding
even more.
was. Yeah, yeah. But
Yeah,
that
you could
doesn't
be right
mean
about
I'm
that.
going to hate on it whatsoever. I mean, I'm just worried. I don't want this to be like a 3 hour experience. If it is going to be more of
Sure,
an
sure.
experience in a game, please don't have this be a thing that's really short then, because Death Stranding still went on for what, 30, 40
It did.
hours.
It's a long game, yeah.
And I I don't know. I'm not saying I want a super long game, but I definitely want the length of a video game out of this. That's what I'm getting at.
Sure,
And I would
sure.
be really disappointed if, because it's an experience, we're only going to get 3 or 4 hours. Even if I love the 3 or 4 hours, I'm still going to be disappointed that, like, oh, the next Kojima project, and it's only that
Mm-hmm.
I finish it in a weekend and that's it. Like, I want more out of it. So,
Yep, yep. No, totally makes sense to me. So we shall see. Um, yeah, next up we had Fortnite Rocket Racing. Fortnite Rocket Racing launches tomorrow, December 8th, and Psyonix and Epic celebrated the upcoming launch with a brand new gameplay trailer. The video showed not only some of the tracks we'll be racing on, but some of the cars we'll be speeding around the tracks with. I'm wondering why they didn't do this sooner, to be honest, since they own Psyonix. Um, so it almost seems like something that was bound to happen, you know?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I just like racing games. So if
Oh
there's
yeah.
one thing of like, okay, my kid's really trying to get me to play Fortnite and I have to get on Fortnite, which still has never once actually happened of like him begging me to play Fortnite with him and then me going on playing with him. Still haven't done that. But if it ever somehow happens, because he plays the hell out of it, I'd do some races with him. I feel like I'll cave in that regard. But
Sure.
other than
Yeah.
that, I
Yeah.
don't really care.
Might check it out sometime. You never know. You
Final Fantasy
take this
VII
one.
Rebirth. There was a variety of things from Final Fantasy VII fans to enjoy after getting a live performance of a song from the upcoming Rebirth. A new trailer for the game was released outside of the Game Awards. We also got word of an upcoming Apex Legends collaboration, which is super weird. And I guess there's you could have the sword in Apex Legends, as weird as that is.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, crossing over everything now, man.
this trailer though, I I didn't watch. I mean, I went to watch it, and I'm like, oh, this is way too much of new stuff that I honestly don't want to see. And then I just closed out of it, and I'm like, I think I'm good. I never thought this till now, but I'm like, I don't want to see
Mm-hmm.
more of the game,
Yeah, I'm
just
good.
because we're
No
so
need.
close. Because it comes out February, right?
Few months. Yep, not too long.
I mean, it's so close. I'm still just blown away by how close we are here to the. I don't know. Finally, because Final Fantasy VII remake, like yes, without spoiling too much, it was still the majority of it still stuff we already knew. Okay, and then right there towards the end, we got some new stuff, whatever of whatever's happening that I'm not going to get into. But now that we're like in a whole new space here, I'm I'm super excited of like not knowing what's gonna be on display here in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Of like nobody knows the direction they're gonna be taking with like how the story's gonna unfold here. And I'm excited about that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I can't wait, man. I remember how I felt before the last entry came out rather, and yeah, I remember just starting it and being so blown away by everything. I can't wait. Can't wait to do that again. So, all right. Next up, Tales of Kenzara Zao is a Metroidvania style action platformer by Surgeon Studios, and it is part of the EA Originals program. Oh, we haven't seen that in a while. At least I haven't. It follows Zao, a shaman who is trying to solve a mystery surrounding his father and involving the god of death, among others. The game launches April 23rd on Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo Switch, and PC. All right, cool. Interesting. Um, I wanted to talk about this next one because I actually does have my attention. So it's called Lost Records, Bloom and Rage. It's by Don't Nod. They've announced their next narrative adventure in Lost Records, Bloom and Rage, which is being developed in a new Don't Nod studio located in Montreal. The game follows Swan, Nora, Autumn, and Kat, four high school friends who reunite 27 years after promising to never speak again. The game is scheduled to launch in late 2024. So I have always loved the Life is Strange games. I think they're really good, and I've always wanted something new from them narratively. And I think it's an interesting concept. Like these girls, 27 years go by, they weren't going to talk. I don't know. It has my interest, So I want to see what this is all about when it comes out next year.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. It's
I'm interested.
this feels more of a I don't know, a freshness that original Life is Strange sort of carried of like we really like, oh, I'm intrigued. I have no idea what I got no expectations here. I really don't know what's gonna happen here, all of that. And I'm finally feeling like fresh on Don't Nod with this game. Like it sounds really cool premise of like clearly something happened with these four kids while they're just out exploring, and
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna sort of try to revisit it all these years later of some. I'm assuming they came across like an alien object or like a monster or something along those lines,
Sure.
and has my interest.
Yep. Same here.
But what it really is one of them woke video games full of four lesbians. That's what it is.
Pretty much.
Anyway, all right. Talk about wokeness. We got Black Ninja. Can't be white. It's got to be black, right? No, Marvel Blade.
Yeah.
This was actually really cool.
Yeah.
I'm pretty stoked
Agreed.
on this. So,
Cool
Marvel's
idea.
Blade is the latest from Arcane Lion, which is known for Deathloop and the Dishonored franchise. So, this is not the team who did, which I now forgot the title of, which actually I'm pretty glad I forgot the title of the latest
Oh,
vampire
Redfall.
catastrophe.
God.
Redfall. There it is. Anyway, it's not the team who did Redfall. It's the team who did Dishonored, and the last thing they did was Deathloop, which I wasn't like crazy about Deathloop, but it was a polished, cool game. So, anyway, so the team showed off a little brief teaser of them just Blade in a barber's chair before gunshots and other noise outside interrupt his appointment. No release window was announced. It's probably 2 or 3 years out. So it's neat
Probably,
though
yeah.
because PlayStation, we got Spider-Man and Wolverine. On the Xbox side, it's Marvel still, but Blade, which I think Blade's one of the coolest Marvel characters for me
I play
personally.
Blade's awesome, man.
Yeah. So I'm definitely down for this, and I mean it fits their aesthetic of like at least Dishonored of like being a ninja like of like maybe being stealth and taking people out and all of that. But with Blade, like I think they're gonna do a really good job with this. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I agree. I remember when they came up and they were talking to Jeff and they were like, you've known some of our earlier works, and they're like mentioning the games. I was like, are they gonna say Redfall? And they didn't. I was like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
this is the different studio. So perfect. That works out. But no, I think this is I would have never guessed this studio would be the ones making this, but I think it's awesome. I think it's really cool. Let
Yeah,
someone
it's a
else have a
perfect
try
match.
at the superhero, genre. So yeah,
Right?
yeah, I can't wait. Think it looks really cool.
Yeah, I'm excited we're getting like a new superhero game and it's not like, trying to cash into the whole multiplayer thing, right? So,
Yeah, exactly. So all right, very cool. Next up, we got Mecha Break. Mecha Break made its debut at the Game Awards 2023. It is a multiplayer mech battle game developed by Season Games. Players will customize their mechs and take them into battle in 3v3, 6v6, and Battle Royale modes. The first trailer for the game showed a mixture of ground and aerial-based combat, and it announced a closed beta test coming soon. I mean, yeah, didn't really do that much for me, but I was like, okay, kind of cool. Nothing crazy.
Next for me. Palia. I keep hearing about this game, but it's the last thing I would ever play. But Singularity 6 announced that its cozy life sim Palia, which launched on PC earlier this year, is coming to Nintendo Switch December 14th. A new trailer for the game shared the news along with a glimpse of some of the activities Palia has to offer. Now, I think it looks a little more distinct than the usual farming adventure game or whatever you want to call it. I don't know, like Rune Factory and stuff like that. But it's still just like I don't know. I don't know what to pull from this or say anything about. It's nothing I'm ever gonna play.
Nothing crazy, yeah. All right. Next up, Light No Fire, which is the next game from No Man's Sky creator Hello Games. Teaser trailer, which was made with all in-game footage, shows a group of 4 players traveling across a changing world, both on foot and flying on winged beasts. Multiple biomes are shown, from snowy mountains to arid deserts and lush green fields. No release window was revealed. So, excuse me. So, to me, this seems very much. How do I put this? It doesn't seem like the same kind of game as No Man's Sky. I'm not saying that necessarily. I'm just saying I thought the next thing that they were going to make would be way different, and I feel like there's probably some similarities here. You're exploring these big worlds and things are changing. It looks interesting, but he was talking about, oh, I want to be adding stuff to this game for 10 years to come. So this must be like the next huge project for a long time. So,
well, I mean, he purposely mentioned that because they mentioned prior of like, well, it's now hitting 10 years of No Man's Sky. So he's saying, oh, well,
oh
I want
yeah,
this next project to also be a thing that I work
I
on
see. I
for
see.
a similar thing. Is
Mm-hmm.
the only reason I think it was mentioned now. Do I actually
Gotcha. That makes
believe
sense.
he's going to continue this support of 10 years? I don't know or care. Now,
Got it.
this is like, instead of exploring the universe, right? We're just gonna reduce it all down to one planet. So I feel he's trying to like be like, hey, we're greatly reducing the scale here.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I still think it's a way ambitious project because it's the
Mm-hmm.
size of Earth, and apparently this game, it's going to feel as if it's the full size of the Earth of you traversing. So it'd take an incredibly long time from getting one point to the other, kind of thing. So still a gigantic scope, and it looks, in my opinion, like you were saying, just far too similar to No Man's Sky. I was hoping for something different. This is still just like, well, okay, instead of you just exploring on your own this whole universe, let's you and a couple friends explore this planet, but otherwise it still be a similar game. Is kind of what it
Mm-hmm.
feels like to me. And I'm I'm a little like was hoping they would do something entirely different as well. So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
kind of whatever on this.
Yep. Same. And who knows what's going to come out? I mean, probably a long time from now. So.
Guilty Gear Strive got a new character announcement. Um, Elephant Valentine, I think is how you say it. The latest character to join the Guilty Gear Strive roster was revealed, and it is the second roster edition of Season 3, which is now out as of today. And they also announced a new mode, Team of 3, so like 3v3 instead of 2v2 and 1v1. So that's neat. Okay.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 16 DLC. Square Enix announced 2 new story expansions for Final Fantasy 16: Echoes of the Fallen and The Rising Tide. Echoes of the Fallen is now available, and it sees Clive and company stand up to what the trailer calls an I- iconoclastic defense system. However you say that. The Rising Tide will launch in spring of 2024. So
I am determined to go back to this game. I just keep finding other games to play. I will go back to it. I need to know a final verdict on this game, No matter how much I might be upset with some parts of it, I have to go back to it. So, yes, eventually I will play this. Don't know when.
yeah, I mean, I'm sure the
That's the goal,
story
though.
is fine, if not great. I just don't
I
care
would
much
have,
of how it's
God,
designed, and I'll leave it
dude, I
alone.
would have never guessed in the beginning of this year when we are talking about video games that not only did Final Fantasy 16 come out and we both didn't beat it, but we both dropped it. Like, what? A Final Fantasy game? I remember we were talking earlier in the year about how excited we were, a new Final Fantasy, and God.
I mean, like Final Fantasy
Uh,
15, even I don't look too fondly back on it, but I
no, I
still
don't either.
have some really cool memories, and I remember
Yeah,
being really taken back and super enjoying it when I was first starting it up and being like, "Oh, this is
yeah,
great!" Right? And then by
yeah.
the end, I was like, "Well, this could have been better. This could have been better." But it's still in that like overall, I would still say like 7, 8 range. Um,
Yeah.
to where
Yep.
like 16 for me, it's like I don't even know. It's so weird to try to rate it because there's so many things that I just find like I don't think this is enjoyable whatsoever outside of me being interested in its plot.
Mm-hmm.
I think the gameplay is Devil May Cry, but a lot more basic. And I don't know. I feel like you can just sort of mash X through the whole game if you really wanted to. The challenge
You
was
probably
so
can.
like not really there. And then so it's like, okay, well the combat doesn't do anything for me. You're trying to go open world, but you're not. It's far more reduced down. Like Final Fantasy 15 actually felt like, whoa, these are big worlds I'm exploring here. And in 16, it's like narrow pathway with basic combat, in my opinion. And outside of having an interesting story, I don't know what else I'm getting out of this. And I'd much rather just watch this in a 3 hour movie than play through this 40,
Yeah,
50 hour game that I don't know. I'm
that's all totally fair and makes 100% sense. I I don't know. I'm gonna see. I'm gonna see what happens. That's my goal. Who knows if I'll actually get there? But it is very disappointing. That's for sure. So
Monster Hunter Wilds got announced. The next installment of Monster Hunter franchise was confirmed by Capcom, and we got a new trailer for it. The brief teaser showed a hunter riding a monster through a pack of traveling creatures while also luring large monsters to them. The game is scheduled for Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 5, and PC in 2025. So it's a
all right,
ways out. So,
sure is.
Baldur's
Yep.
Gate got released on Xbox. It is now currently out on Xbox Series X and S. Remember the Series S version, they cut out the split screen co op. Otherwise, similar approach
Similar
between
thing.
the
Yeah.
two versions. Um, and yeah, there's that. If you were waiting for it to release on Xbox, well, it's now out and jump on it. I played 20, 30 hours of this game. I pick it up here and there. I actually think it's a really good game, phenomenal game at that. I just, I don't know. I feel this is something that 200 or 300 hours later, I would still weirdly be playing, almost like how I'm approaching Tears of the Kingdom. So, with that mindset, I'm like, well, let me finish all of these other things that I'm trying to work on and then go back to it. So, like, I still haven't finished Mario Wonder, but I
Yes.
keep plugging away at that, making good progress. I'm with Alan Wake 2, doing the exact same thing. I'm still playing through Super Mario RPG, doing that. So I'm just gonna
Yep.
be bouncing around between those three, as well as some other stuff I'll mention in what we're playing here. But Baldur's Gate 3 is now just going to be this thing that I play for years to come, I feel. And I do think it's a phenomenal game. And regardless if you think you're into tactics or not, or turn-based RPGs or not, it honestly doesn't matter because it does such a great job at what it does. It's can bring you into an enjoying a genre you wouldn't think you would prior. And so
Yep.
I
Yep.
urge anybody to play it.
For sure. No, I'm with you. Um. All righty. Oh God, why does it keep bouncing around? All right, here we go. So, by the way, I will just say the new thing. Excuse me. The next entry, Sega is returning to some of its best games. During the Game Awards, Sega announced that it had numerous remakes and new projects in development, including some of its coolest and most unique games. Announced via a sizzle reel showing off in development footage. Sega revealed it was working on remakes of Jet Set Radio, Shinobi, Golden Axe, Streets of Rage, Crazy Taxi, and more. No announcement info was given. Out of these, the one I'm most excited for is Golden Axe, probably. I love a lot of these other games, but man, Golden Axe, I used to play that so much when I was a kid. It's ridiculous.
So what do you think of how they're handling this of like, oh, well, now we're making it more of like a 3D environment of
Mhm.
almost like action adventure game, like third person
Yeah, yeah,
kind
yeah.
of thing. And I think that's really cool. Like it's
I think
taking
that
an
is
old
cool.
game and giving it a whole fresh perspective and gameplay elements and all of that.
Yeah, that'll be a true remake, like really, really changing
Yeah.
it up there. So yeah, no, I think that's exciting. I think it's cool. So
Yeah, Jet Set Radio. If it is just a remake to where it's like the same levels but just a graphical overhaul, that's not going to really do anything for me much for me there. But if it's more of like taking the ideas and making a whole new game from it, then yeah, then I'd be excited. Shinobi, I think. I mean, I went back and watched this trailer a few times and really honed in on each one of these games shown. Shinobi, I think, looks really, really pretty, and that 2D art direction there is like top tier. They're doing a really, really good job with that. So I want to shout that out. And then Streets of Rage, instead of it just being like a side scroller beat 'em up, it's also going into a 3D space and looks like, like Street Fighter 6 did that little side mode of sort of like 3D beat 'em up. Well, the full release of such a game is what the Streets of Rage remake is doing here. So I think that
Yep.
looks really great. And then Crazy Taxi, like I think they're not changing up the formula too much there because what can you really do? It already was like a 3D game and it's a taxi game, right? So you can't really like change its perspective of a new take on it too much. But I'm sure it'll be fun. I'd be down to give it a shot. So,
Hmm.
I'm not like, oh my god, this is amazing kind of stuff, but this all is pretty cool, and I like that they're taking all of these old classics and being like, hey, what if we take a completely different approach with this title here into something new? And so that's neat.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I'm excited for that stuff. I wonder when we'll get some updates on that, but hey, at least we know it's coming. So.
Yeah, I mean, they basically said in the show that it's going to be a thing that they're just these games are getting released over the next few years. Basically, it's just like it's not really trying to fit any sort of cadence of like, well, this one comes out and then 6 months later this one comes out and 6 months later this comes out. It's more of just like here's all the stuff we're working on in one trailer kind of thing, and they're all just going to kind of come out at various times, and that's sort of how that's being handled.
Yep. Yep. All right. Cool. Whatever that ends up looking like, I think it'll be very cool. So that's exciting.
All right.
All right. These next ones, the Game Award winners. Should I just run through them?
Yep.
Okay. So let's work our way. I'll start from the bottom up.
Okay.
So Games for Impact, Chia, which is kind of funny that we were trying to figure out what that meant, and that's the one I would pick. So I guess I'm glad that one. Family Game, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, Art Direction, Alan Wake 2, Esports Player, Faker, Action Adventure, Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom, Action Game, Armored Core 6, Fires of Rubicon. I was happy to see that.
Yep.
Game Direction, Remedy Entertainment, and Studio Game. Hold on, what's the difference between these two?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, I see. Epic Games. Okay, whatever. So Studio Game Direction again, Epic Games, Alan Wake 2. Content Creator of the Year, Iron Mouse. Narrative, Alan Wake 2. Role-playing game, Baldur's Gate 3. Esports game, Valorant. Independent game, Sea of Stars. Anticipated game, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Multiplayer game, Baldur's Gate 3. Mobile game, Honkai Star Rail. Best adaptation, Last of Us. Ongoing game, Cyberpunk. Player's Voice, Baldur's Gate 3, and Game of the Year, Baldur's Gate 3. It looks like Baldur's Gate 3 and Alan Wake 2 got a bunch of nods there. So that's awesome. That's good.
Also, shout out to that. Did you watch any performance? Because that.
Oh yeah, the old gods of Asgard.
Yeah.
But that was really cool. Yeah,
it was really, really neat. I like that a lot, actually.
I'd like to play Baldur's Gate sometime. Just don't know when. Someday.
The main guy, Sam Lake, he's definitely throughout the show like leaning into his persona and really feeling himself and all that. But I'm not hating. I actually think like he should, and I think he's handling it really well.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah. So he even went on and was dancing along with them. And the fact that like
cool.
I don't know, they clearly practiced many, many times because they all really did the choreographing pretty spot on. That's way harder than you would ever imagine. Just needed to mention that. I'm sure you're aware because you got to go see your daughter's dances all the time.
Right. But yeah. It's very.
No one can go just do that, like, and nail it down to timing all in sync with each other. That was pretty impressive.
It is cool. That's some of my favorite parts of of those shows when they do the musical thing. I think that's pretty cool. So, all right. I guess now we're doing this, which I really like this segment, by the way. I think it was a good idea you came up with, but the Steam library, right? Going through,
Oh, your
have
first
we even
title
played it?
here, I forgot to mention. It's coming to PlayStation now. That got announced.
I did see that. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah,
All right. Should I go first or you going
yeah,
first?
yeah. You got
All right. So I had As Dusk Falls first, which I did play and I really, really liked. Wasn't even going to get it at first. And then I think you mentioned something about being interested in it. I was like, maybe I should check it out. And I'm so glad I did because, man, it was an awesome game. Really good story. I love the way they did the co-op. You know, everyone can jump in and make decisions, and it just thought it was
There is
excellent art
not a
style.
game like that, and it's really annoying
No,
because I
no,
absolutely loved it and thought it was such a great
loved it.
experience of having people in the living room all voting together and using their phones and all that. Sort of a Jackbox experience, but with an actual serious story and everything. And I badly want more of this. And I think they mentioned that they're actually releasing more. Not as Dust Falls, like not in this IP, but a new IP. But I saw something about them releasing more game like this kind of thing. Which please do because I'll be I don't know, the very moment it drops, I'll be playing it day one. And there's not a single other thing like it, and I really
Mm-hmm.
badly want more of this.
No, agreed. I thought it was an excellent game and one of my favorite of those like narrative choice making games. You know, so
All right, my first game here, Battle Right. I know absolutely nothing about this. Pass.
that's so funny. All right, I got Assassin's Creed #1. Still have not played this game. I've had it. I've had a plan to play it forever, and then I just never did. So maybe one day.
Big screen beta. Now, this is more of a program, but I still just want to give a huge shout out to it. I think it's
Okay.
maybe the coolest VR thing because when you launch this, what it is it's a big theater space. So you can go on to all of these different theater
Hmm.
rooms, and once you're inside of one, somebody can be like hosting watching a movie and then you sort of join in with others, talk with them, watch a movie, whatever. Or they could be like playing a game and you can play along with them if it's like a multiplayer thing, and maybe them taking on like you know, they're playing Mario Kart on a big screen and they're like, hey, here's our lobby code, join it, and everyone's just sort of watching different people play whatever, watch whatever, and it's just sort of a thing of like VR community thing of just somebody throwing something up on the big screen theater and maybe teaching somebody something. Maybe they're just watching random funny videos, right? And you can just sort of join in and talk along and have fun with them and all that. And I just think it's a really like fun experience to have. And
Okay.
I've used it quite a lot, and I think it's one of the most fun VR things that you can do.
That sounds awesome. I like that.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, I had Assassin's Creed 2. Same story. I've not played it. So, yeah. Although I always hear people really like that one.
Yeah, two along with was it Revelations and Brotherhood? They're like almost like expansions of that. Um and then Assassin's Creed for or with Black Flag, and then I'd say between those two, between like Assassin's Creed 2 and Assassin's Creed Black Flag, I could take or leave the rest of the series, but those are really strong.
Interesting. I've heard as much.
Bionic Commando. This is the I want to say 2007, 2008
Oh,
remake
yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
it, where it's
Yep.
like a 3D remake, and you gotta, obviously you got a grapple hook and Bionic Commando, but in this game it's more of like almost like a Spider-Man game because you're sort of grappling through the city, and you know, it's whatever. I thought it was pretty fun in the moment of release. That's about it.
I did also like this when it came out. I remember it
Yeah.
quite a bit. All right. Next up, I have Avery Attorney. I think I did play this game for a bit. I want to say I got it off a Humble Bundle. I think it was a narrative game. And you're like a lawyer or something. Hold on. Yeah, and you're like, there's like these anthropomorphic animals. Like you're a bird, and it was so weird. I truly can't even. I didn't play it for that long, but I remember thinking it reminded me of like Ace Attorney a little bit. But
Okay,
the art style is like in the style of like a black and white, like really detailed sketch, kind of like
that's
a
cool.
pencil sketch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked really cool. It was definitely very unique. People seem to like it, so yeah. Never actually played through it, but yeah, there's
Okay.
that.
Bionic Commando Rearmed. Now, this is a remake of the original back on NES, and I think it's really, really great. I mean, Bionic Commando, like that remake that I was talking about in 3D and all
Mm-hmm.
that, it's a
Yep.
fine game. But Bionic Commando Rearmed, I think, is one of those, like, I don't know, at least a 9 out of 10. Like, really great experience, really good game. So, shout out
Okay.
there.
Very cool. Axiom Verge next up. Really like this game. A lot of fun. Very good. Much Metroidvania. Yeah, really like that game. I never played two. Still got to do that sometime. So
Yep. Uh, Bioshock, Bioshock 2, and Bioshock Infinite, both the original games, and then the remasters that they also released. Obviously, they're fantastic titles. There's not much more I need to be saying that. I will say my favorite is Infinite out of the series.
okay, fair enough. All right. I have Bad North next, which I have no idea what that is. I was just looking it up. It looks sort of like a real time strategy game, kind of like a tactical game. It looks. I guess it was on
Yeah, I
mobile
know
as
what it
well.
is.
Yeah,
It's a
I
very
don't know.
good game. I have yet to play it more than just like trying it out to see if I would like it. And I'm like, oh yeah, I really like this, and I should play this kind of thing. And I was just busy in the moment. Still haven't gotten back to actually do so, but I mean, it looks great. And what I played, I really liked it, and the reviews seem to be really highly up there. Um, and I'm sure this is something I should badly be playing. So.
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
Bit Trip presents Runner 2 Future of Rhythm Alien. I'm a big fan of any of the Bit Trip games. The Runner was my favorite of those old ones,
Mm,
and
remember those?
Runner 2 and Runner 3 are like huge upgrades from that original idea of just like a auto runner sort of thing, but I don't know, somehow just the way they handle its art direction and just fun of it is puts it leagues above anything in that similar genre, and I really really enjoy it.
Okay. Very cool. Next up, I have Banana Hell. Never heard of this game. I just looked it up. I don't know what the heck I was looking at. You're a banana, some sort of platformer game. Very weird. So yeah, don't really have much to say about that.
Like 2D platformer, but you play as a
Yeah.
banana.
Yep.
Okay, okay.
And I saw some cutscenes that were kind of made me feel weird inside. It looked like Ren and Stimpy or something. Really weird.
All right.
So
Next two I have here, and I'll finish it out. Black Desert, which again, I don't know. I could take it or leave it. Not.
mhm.
I tried it multiple times, couldn't get into it. And then Borderlands 2 is obviously phenomenal, but I think it's one of those like I think the original Borderlands was like the peak. A lot of people would say the second one is, but even by the time the second game came out, I was kind of over the formula. So when I
Mhm.
played Borderlands 2, I was like, yeah, this is fun, more of the same. It's definitely improved, but I kind of been there, done that because I used to play the hell out of the original. And I finished 2, but I was definitely just um, forcing my way through just to see if it like, well, maybe it gets better, maybe it gets better. But it's like, not that it wasn't great. It's just again that whole thing of like I get tired of stuff really fast, and that's like I have a big problem of like Spider-Man 2. I have no intention of ever wanting to play because I'm like I kind of been there, done that.
Sure.
I
Sure.
like Spider-Man back on PS4, and with even Miles Morales, I was like, okay, this is neat, but I barely touched it. So I'm really
Hmm.
gonna like barely touch the third one, I guess technically two. You know what I mean? And I always have an issue with this of like I want sequels to be, I guess, far different than what they a lot of games end up doing. And
Right, right.
I don't know. I mean, I think like Halo 1 to 2 was a gigantic leap forward, so that's big enough
Oh yeah,
difference for me. And then even from 2 to 3 was gigantic. And I just need leaps like
it
that.
was.
It's hard for me to just get more of the same, and that's same with like God of War. I was like, I love that original PS4, but like I'm not too into, and I wasn't that excited with the one afterwards. And this is just the problem, me personally, and kind of always has been. It's really hard for me. Like, I don't know, even way back in the day, like NES days, it's like, okay, Mario 1 and Mario 2, vastly different games. We know why, because they were just different games. But even then with Mario 3, very huge different beast. And it wasn't just more of the same. And anytime there's a title where it's just a sequel, but it's improved, but a similar take otherwise, it's hard for me to care that much about it. So
Yeah, no, I totally get that. A lot of sequels will improve. They'll be better. They'll be good. But is it enough of a change where it makes you want to go back? And Spider-Man 2, I haven't played much yet. I've been playing other games, but I'm kind of surprised at myself that I haven't put more time into it. But I know why. It's just like what I played was like, this is fun. It wasn't really grabbing me like that, though. So.
I think Alan Wake 2 is a gigantic leap
Oh
from
my
the
god,
original
yeah.
Alan Wake. So that really
It
works
was.
there. But even like Super Mario Galaxy, I would put that in there as like, if not top five, at least a top 10 of like favorite games of all time. But again, the second one is just like, doesn't really do much for me. I've kind of been there, done that.
Sure,
So if
sure.
they release like a Mario Odyssey 2, that's not really gonna like excite me too much. I was excited because it was different. It was Mario Odyssey. It was a fresh new take. I don't want more of the same.
Yep, yep. I get that.
Yeah.
Totally get it. All right.
Okay.
Next up, I had Bastion, which great game. Really liked it. Thought it was a lot of fun. It was the first of the oh my god, Super Giant games that I played, and I think they just make really great games. So
Yeah.
yeah,
10 out of 10 experience for sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. What do you got next?
I just listed my last. Just go ahead and list yours there.
I didn't realize that was your last. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, I got Batman the Telltale series. I actually really liked this. I thought it was really good. One of the
I
better
played the
Telltale
first
series.
two episodes and I never
Hmm.
finished it. And I feel I should because I was liking it.
Yeah, I think they did the Riddler really well. I really enjoyed it. So the good one. And then finally, Batman Arkham Origins. I was on a quest to play the Arkham games. I have not successfully completed that quest. So yeah, I haven't played this game.
Okay.
So yeah, but that's
Yeah.
it.
All right. Let's get into what we're watching, what we're playing.
All right. Um, I'll just quickly mention I went back to the Nier Automata anime, and I'm just loving it. I think it's so good. I don't know why I've waited this long to watch it. I know they were having like problems where they
Well,
kept
there was
going
a
on
long break
hiatus.
in between, so I was
Yeah,
just like, hey, let me wait for it to finish. So is it finished now?
yeah, it's finished now, but
Cool. I'm gonna
the
go back
break
and
in
watch
between it happened multiple times too. So
it.
anyway, there's 12 episodes now. I just finished episode 3, and from what I see, it seems like they're really following the storyline for the most part. They're making some changes here and there, but man, it's so good. The way they put the music in, the way they condense the game into the show, they do it where they still show you all the things that you feel should be shown. I would say. I think it's really good. And I love how every episode ends with like a different ending from the game with the little puppets or whatever. So yeah, really enjoying that again. Alan Wake 2, unfortunately, I haven't had that much time to play this week because, again, what I explained last week, it's like, I feel like Alan Wake 2 is like a commitment. Like, I want to sit down and play for a good hour or two. But I did play a little further. I'm playing back as Saga now. I'm about to start playing as her for the second time now. So I did the first 2 chapters, Saga, 3 chapters as Alan.
Which I just am finishing that part of like playing Slide for
Got
the
it.
second time, and I just went and
Got
did
it.
all of that. I don't know how far you started, but It would be matching
I
up
didn't even start
if
it. I didn't
it's
even start hers.
okay. You've
Hmm.
you walk to basically like circus stuff kind of thing, but
Gotcha.
it's Coffee World
Mm,
amusement park thing, and I
okay.
thought that was a pretty cool part, and I'm just
Okay.
finishing that up. I'm at the last bit of it all, so
I can't wait. I think the game is so good. I really enjoy it. I love the characters, love the mind place, all that stuff. I think it's just so good. Really enjoy it. Only small complaints I have is some of the stuff with the combat is a little like wonky to me. That I don't really like that much. I don't like how the flashlight you press it and now it burns the whole meter. And sometimes I don't know, like, hey, is this guy stunned or not? Like they just hit you out of
yeah,
nowhere.
yeah.
So, and I also think it's weird that when you die it has to do like this whole thing to get you back alive.
It
Have you
takes too
noticed that?
long. It's like yes,
Yeah,
because it's this whole like black and
I
white
get it, but
flashing thing, and then like out of the
right.
way dead face thing, and it shows
Mm-hmm.
this, and then it's loading and showing
It's
hints or
like, come on,
whatever.
man.
It's like a whole minute before you're back in, is what it feels like. And it's like, all right,
Yeah,
dude.
I'm not a fan of that, but I will say I think the game is really good. Really like it. So glad I caught up on the other games. So yeah. Now, most importantly this week, Super Mario RPG. Now, let me just start off by saying I promise you, Tim nor Dave have pressured me to say any of the things I'm about to say, but I've been playing a lot more since we last spoke. And do I love the game now? No, but do I like it way more than I did last time we spoke? Yes. I've gotten 5 stars now, I believe.
Okay.
I'm starting to really dig it. Like I'm starting to dig the new abilities and managing my flower points and I'm getting more. It really does feel like the beginning of RPGs getting very complex, you know? It's like here's this one spell that will heal you. Here's this one spell that will revive you, and I'm fine with it. It's like pretty simple, but it's still really fun, you know?
Well, this game did a
Um,
lot of things first that games afterwards
yes,
took
yes,
from,
totally. I can
and
definitely see that.
they definitely weren't doing this prior to this game. It was
Nope,
a lot
nope.
of original ideas done here.
Yeah, that's why I like about it. I'm like I can see where a lot of these cool ideas came from. You know, they built upon it. Um, but I think it's really I think the writing is so funny and it's really enjoyable. I think some of the stuff going on with Bowser, you know, being the bad guy and he's with you and everything. I don't know. I just think it's really funny. You know. Um, but yeah, I'm just cruising along. I'm enjoying it way more now. The battles are starting to get more challenging, but I'm also way stronger now. Equipping new weapons and such. So yeah.
I
So
don't
I'm really enjoying
remember
it.
exactly like when you get who and all that. Like, what is your part? I mean, do you have Peach in your party
Um,
as well?
yes, I have Peach, Bowser, Gino, and
Mallow. Yeah.
Mallow.
Okay.
Um,
Cool.
is that it? Is that everyone? I think. Well, I could unless I'm
Yeah,
forgetting
it's
someone
been
else.
a long time.
Mhm.
I don't know. I think so.
Okay.
I think that's the max of the party there. But yeah, I don't there's just I really love the game because I just like the journey that it takes you on of like all the different environments,
Uh huh.
the plot points, the um I don't know. Every time you go to a new area, like completely different enemies,
Uh huh. Yep.
completely
Yep.
different approach to like a cool little mini game that you may get to do, or like the way it tries to play with your perspective when it comes to puzzles, because the fact that it is like 3D and trying to find like secrets where you can't normally see them to try to play with your perspective there. Um, I feel like 5 stars in. Are you in like not Bowser,
Um,
but it's like Booster, and he's like this pirate
I
guy.
I went past that. I
Okay,
got to. I'll tell you right
because
now.
I
Hold on.
like that area, that Booster area
Yeah, that
with
was cool. That was cool.
is a really
Um,
cool like on the pirate ship and all that.
I just got to I did the pirate ship, did the sunken ship, right? Then I
Cool.
came out. I'm in like a desert where there's like quicksand and you can
Okay.
get sucked
Yep.
into it. I'm there now.
Okay.
And everyone's at level 14. So
Now I feel this is the first Paper Mario game because
yes,
I
yes,
feel Paper
totally.
Mario is the sequel to this, and then
Oh,
I feel
100%.
Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door is the third game, and I feel like this is the series, and this is the first one of that series. Is how I feel
I
it
totally
goes.
agree.
Yeah.
That's definitely how I kind of see it as well. I can totally see where where they got a lot of these things from, so.
Yeah. Which excites me because I played Super Mario RPG. I played the first Paper Mario, but I never played Thousand Year Door outside of just, the beginning section a few times. But I'm excited, like, okay, I'm playing the first one now is what it feels like, and then I'm about to play where it all leads into, because it's like, you know, as the years go on, it's like, the better they get, the new ideas they take, but they always feel so incredibly different as well. Paper Mario feels such a leap forward from Super Mario RPG, and then the same with Thousand Year Door. Of what I played of that, it feels like, I don't know. I mean, it is a whole generation ahead, because right, it's like it's Super Nintendo, then N64, and then GameCube.
N64,
You
yep,
know,
yep.
and then so I'm excited to play that GameCube level up whenever that
Yeah,
comes
same
out.
here. And I'm just so glad that I ended up not feeling like, hey, I bought this game and I'm playing it just because it's Mario, right? Like I actually feel like I actually like it now. And now that I'm pretty far into it, I really hope that they make another one of these sometime. Maybe they're testing the waters, right? Seeing how people like this. I don't know.
Oh,
That'd be
did you
great.
see? So the creator of Super Mario RPG, which
Hmm.
again worked Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy, all that, right? He said that he wants to come out with one last hurrah before he ends his career. He said he's got one more in him, and he would want it to be a sequel to Super Mario RPG, is what he's saying.
Ah,
So
oh man, that'd be
if they
now
can
I'm all in on that.
actually
Oh
Nintendo
yeah.
agree on that, because again, I love this game, but when you compare it to generations later, when they can do a
Hmm.
lot more with games and add a lot more content and all that, obviously you're going to get like bigger, grander adventures kind of thing.
Oh
So
yeah.
imagine getting a sequel to this, of like all of these really fun, cool ideas, but now to the grand scale of what games can do today. I'd be super excited to play that project.
Same.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm happy I'd be in the zeitgeist this time, So yeah, but yep, that's all I got for this week.
Now, One Piece. So I figured I'd mention this because I've been watching it in the background. I think I mentioned when I first started being like, "Hey, I'm gonna try to actually watch it." I've been avoiding it my entire life because there's like 1,000 episodes now, and there's no way I'm ever gonna watch it. But seeing it in the background of, I don't know, random people talking about it, to commercials on it, to merchandise of it, whatever. I mean, it's gigantic, right? And I've just always avoided it. To where, like, let me just finally see what this is and see if it's something I would even begin to like. I am not thinking on the level of, oh, I'm definitely gonna try to watch all the episodes and catch up. I don't care if I catch up or not. I just wanted to see its quality and see if it was something actually good or not, because Shonen Jump animes in general, sort of thing, is not really my thing. Like, I'm not really into Naruto and stuff like that. I just don't really care much for like action animes that much outside of Dragon Ball, but it just sort of started and ended there, and I don't really care about any of the others. So when I was watching One Piece, I was expecting more of, like, I don't know, again, like fighting and stuff like that, which it's there, but what One Piece feels like to me is, the more thought I put, it feels like the Legend of Zelda, but in an anime form. Because it's very much just about an adventure and them just discovering new things, and um in no way, like, I don't understand people that would watch this and try to just get to the good stuff of just the fighting. I'm just like, the fighting stuff, it's hardly there, and if it is there, it's just like one episode, and then or two, and then it's another 15 or 20 of just different adventures happening until the next little fight bit. But I enjoy watching all of these adventures unfold, of like them selling to Grand Line and all of these crazy things taking place, of like them going up this big waterfall mountain thing, to them going into this like really cool, like, ancient, underground village to them discovering like dragons in a whole like village of like dead dragons to it just it it feels like I'm like 6 or 7 years old watching this really like cool adventure unfold, and I've been really enjoying it, and I'm episode 130, and man, I'm hooked. I think it's phenomenal, and I
Great.
now I'm just like, man, like I feel really dumb because I had all of these envisions of what I thought it was. It's unlike anything I thought it was gonna be. Uh, it feels like Studio Ghibli Zelda stuff is what it feels like for me, and
Okay.
I've really enjoyed it. It's fun,
Very cool.
yeah. And then so been watching that a ton, and so when I'm watching One Piece, I was like, well, I really want a game to play along with this. And what's something that I've been always like, well, I'm always thinking One Piece in the background and stuff and actually trying to get around to it. I need to do this Persona 5. I play Persona 3, Persona 4, even Persona 2, but I've never like I still just have this overwhelming thing of like, man, I really need to get to Persona 5, and I've tried so many damn times. So here somehow maybe my fourth purchase of this game, but I bought it on Steam so I could play it on my Steam Deck at 60 FPS,
Right.
and I want it to be like a handheld experience, but I don't want it to be reduced down to 30 on Switch. So I bought it on
Right. Right.
Steam and I've
Right.
been playing it
Makes
there.
sense.
So what I did is I just found a save file online on where I was on PlayStation and just installed it on the Steam Deck that way so I could get caught up and then just continue from there. So I've played 6 hours in the last week of it, and I'm watching One Piece and playing Persona and having a grand old time with that. So that's what I've been doing. And then one last thing, I wanted to shout out what I was talking about in the beginning of the episode here was Final Fantasy. So I shared a picture on our group of like when I went and picked up Super Mario RPG, I bought the original Final Fantasy on NES because I just always thought it'd be a cool piece to have in the collection, just the OG Final Fantasy. But I've never
Yeah.
actually played this game. I just always thought, I mean, weirdly, so I played it for like maybe 30 minutes to an hour, and I'm like, yeah, no. Right. And then tried playing Final
Right.
Fantasy 2, had a bad experience with that. Final Fantasy 3 was like, okay, it was like okay, but I don't feel Final Fantasy was good till basically Final Fantasy 4, which was Final Fantasy 2 here in the States when they came out on Super Nintendo. And that was the big Super Nintendo hot JRPG. And that's what kind of like started where people were really taking them seriously with that title. And anything prior, I feel, is just like rudimentary, kind of basic, whatever stuff. So I figured, like, well, let me actually try to play this Final Fantasy game. And maybe if I play it on the actual hardware and get a sense of the times and really just sort of try to understand this game and see where everything come from and all that, I think it would just be a cool piece to take a part of. So I popped it in, and I, dude, this is great. And I wish other Final Fantasies didn't drop so many things that this original game does, because it feels
Yeah.
like in the future they just try to streamline so many things and they took so much of the importance of this game out with future games. Meaning, so this game is very hard, very
Yeah. It
tough.
is.
So when I'm playing this, I'm like, okay, just to get to level 1 to 2 is like a whole 3 or 4 hour journey, because you got to be just like sort of running near the village, not getting too far out there, battling a bunch of things so you can get enough money to buy different equipment, to buy different spells for your guys. Um, every tiny thing you do of just getting enough money to buy a sword, or getting enough money to learn a spell, or getting enough money so you can continue to even grind, because the game is so hard to where like you do 2 or 3 battles, your whole party could get wiped out. Now you're restarting, and all of that goes void. So you're really playing that game. It feels like, okay, it's like going back and playing Demon Souls or Dark Souls, but now in an art and now in like a turn-based RPG sense, to
Gotcha.
where like, okay, do I want to go a little further out here in hopes that there's going to be a village where I can heal, or am I too far out? So like when you're playing Dark Souls, right, the whole thing is like, how far can I go to the next campfire and actually save my
Sure.
progress?
Sure.
But around any corner could be something incredibly difficult. And how far do I really want to stray from here? Or do I keep staying here longer, trying to get a little stronger and play this game of like fighting a whole bunch of things, going back hill, and find a bunch of things, going back hill? Well, at some point, you're going to have to break and just say screw it and try to get on to the next part in the game. But now you're too far out there, and now you died, and all of this experience you built up now is for nothing. And you're like, damn, right? And it's that whole battle. And that's what I'm feeling with this original Final Fantasy is like, the struggle is really real here of like, okay, well, I have like 20 gold, but I need 40 gold just to be able to heal in an inn, right? Well, I need another battle or two to make that happen. But another battle or two, my whole party could be wiped and I have nothing. I don't have enough money to even heal, much less buy stuff. So you're really trying to fine tune this balance of like fighting versus getting gold versus getting heals versus getting whatever. Any game in the future, like Final Fantasy 4 and onwards, it's like it's there a little bit, but it's not nearly as intense. Of like when you buy a potion of like 60 gold, it means a lot in the original Final Fantasy. That was a lot of hard efforts to get that amount of gold to go and get that item purchased, right? And in the future, it just felt like a kind of like throwaway thing to the point of it not even being a thing anymore because they just kept making it easier and easier and just kind of a whatever. But in that OG, everything feels really important and really like meaningful to anything that you have to get. And I really, really enjoy that. So I've dumped 20 hours at least into this game, and I've probably 10 hours of that have been me getting really, really far deep in the cave and dying and having to be like, fuck, man. Okay, how am I gonna like rethink this now? Or how am I gonna approach this again? Or maybe, okay, maybe I should try these spells instead. And there's no mana in the system. It's just a matter of like, okay, if you buy this spell, you get 3 uses of this category of spells, and then you just can't use it anymore. So you have to really like, you can't even buy items that can replenish it. You're just gonna have to like, well, make sure you use it on stuff that are super meanable for, right? But what's weird is when you're like deep in a cave or deep into like a town that's been overridden by pirates or something like that. Well, you don't, like try to save your moves, your strong stuff for really strong enemies. But oh, here comes a really strong enemy. Okay, I'm using all of this strong stuff. I kill it, and then now I'm wiped out. But I barely scraped by. My people are about to die. I have no more spells. Okay, let me try to like make my way back to town, and then on my way back, I fight something that's insanely powerful. I have no healing items. I have no spells, and I somehow have to take this big thing on, and then I die and get wiped out, and it was all for nothing. Or I barely squeak by, and I'm like jumping up and down and finally able to reach a village and heal and then rethink my strategy before I go back out there and try again, kind of thing. And I don't know, it's all stuff that we're well aware of, but it's all just stuff that it seems very like rudimentary and basic and been there, done that, and it doesn't really hold near as much importance. But now when I'm playing this original title, I feel the weight of everything again, and it feels great because of that. So,
I gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, that's very cool. I would like to hear that. I don't know. I think that in your first of all, the stuff you said about Final Fantasy from before is so funny to me because that game, I remember when I first played it, I'm like, yeah, I'm on a quest. I'm gonna play all these, and then very quickly I was like, holy crap, this game is super outdated. Like this is hard to get into. I kind of feel that way about Zelda 2, kind of. It's like that.
Well,
But
I
yeah,
think
no,
Zettel 2 is actually a bad game. I think
I
this is
mean,
actually
yeah,
a good game. It's
yeah,
just all the stuff that they improved later of making it easier. This is more of like you actually have to seriously work for this stuff, and it's gonna be a lot. It's like playing a roguelite or something at this point of like, hey, you're going to be running back things a lot of times just because you're going to end up dying, and you kind of have to be okay with dying. And I think that's sort of the lesson whenever we play these Dark Souls or any Souls like game is like, you're going to die a lot. You're going to lose a lot of what you've built up here. And you just have to be okay with that and eventually just get better through death. And you have to take that same approach and apply it to a turn based RPG. And you
yep,
just,
yep.
and when I'm playing it in this light, because the last time I played this game, it was years, like 5 or 6 years back, and at that point, I hated Souls-like games, and I was like, these are trash. I was getting so annoyed because I would make so much progress and die and lose it all, right? And I just couldn't handle that. But now that I've learned to deal with that and just know, well, I'm just gonna have to be smarter in my next approach at this. And when I'm taking these same lessons and applying it to turn-based RPG with such that definitely doesn't hold your hand in any way, shape, or form. I'm growing in appreciation to it a lot, and I'm really,
Gotcha.
really enjoying this. And
That's great.
knowing that I can't just, I'm playing through emulation and I could just fast forward it or do like a times 3 battle on anything like a current thing. No, that I'm actually playing on the real hardware and I don't have anything to help me, and I just have to. I'm forced to play it the real way.
Right.
It's I don't know. I'm appreciating it a lot, and I'm really enjoying this journey here with this original game, and it's
Yeah.
grew a lot of appreciation I had zero care for until now. So
Very cool. All
yeah.
right. That
Okay.
sounds good.
New game watch, we'll be out of here. Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising. PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, PC, December 14th. House Flipper 2, PC, December 14th. Palia, Switch, December 14th. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, The Hidden Treasure of Area Zero, The Indigo Disc. Switch, December 14th. Resident Evil 4 Remake on Mac and iOS, December 20th. These are the
Hmm.
iPhone releases coming out
Right.
here of
Right.
that. I am curious on how that's going to be. Of like, can it at least stay at a stable 30? If it
Right.
can,
Right.
I think it's pretty impressive.
That would be impressive. Although, even if it ran at 60, I still wouldn't play it on a
And yeah,
phone. I
I'm not
just
going to
don't see the
either,
point.
but I'm curious just for the sake of I don't know, being wowed by it a little bit. But it's nothing I would buy and play on a phone. But yeah, okay. Well,
All right, man. Another one
that'll
down.
do it. I'll see y'all next week.
Later.